Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Module 9 of Strategic Management course. This module covers conducting internal environmental analysis. In our last two modules, we have studied various tools and techniques in order to scan, appraise and evaluate external environment. But now the question arises that why within a particular industry, some companies outperform others. As we all know, that all the companies in the same industry will be having same opportunities and threats, then why there are few companies who are able to outperform than others? For example, if there is a new technology, the impact of that technology will be common for all the companies in that particular industry. Similarly, if there is change in government regulation, its impact will be similar. Then why there are few companies who have a competitive advantage? The answer is because of internal strengths and weaknesses, which vary from firm to firm. In this particular module, participants will be able to identify and assess key resources, capabilities, and core competencies within an organization. They will be able to use frameworks like VRIO and value chain analysis to evaluate internal factors. They will be able to apply analysis insights to support strategic decision making. So, in this module, we are going to focus on resource-based view approach. Before starting with the RBV approach, I want to share one story with you. There was a small boy who was wanting to learn karate, but the problem was that he was not having his left arm. So he used to ask his mother, I want to start with the classes. But his mother was not convinced because he was not having left arm. But after repeated request, his mother took him to a coach. His coach taught him one move and asked him to practice that move and come again tomorrow. He went back, he was excited, he practiced that move, he went back to the class next day. And again, his coach refined that move and asked him to practice that move again and again. It continued for several days. And after that, there was a competition wherein the kid was wanting to participate. But he was worried that knowing only few moves, how can I participate? He asked his coach. His coach said, go ahead and participate in that competition. He went for that competition. He used that move and he won that fight. He was shocked that despite knowing only few moves, how can I win? Then there was another fight. He again used that move and he won. It continued for several fights. He asked his coach that how is it possible that by knowing only few moves, I am able to win my fights. His coach said that the move which I have taught to you has only one counter attack. That is, the opponent has to attack on your left arm. Since you do not have your left arm, this is your major strength. So in this particular story, what exactly his coach did? The coach identified his weakness. He converted his weakness into his strength, and as a result of which he was able to win. That is what is there for organization also. Every firm has its own strengths and weaknesses. There is no company which is strong in all the areas. But it's important to identify that what are our strengths which will become source of competitive advantage and what are our weaknesses so that we can take steps in order to overcome it. When organization expand, they face certain kind of obstacles. The same obstacles other companies will also be facing. It depends upon the company that whether they want to consider those obstacles as roadblocks or they want to convert it into their strengths and take advantage of it. There is a company, Zippos.com, which is an online shoe and clothing business based from Las Vegas. Now, for any e-commerce company, customer service helpline is a major challenge. Customers always avoid picking up call when they know it's from some call center because of multiple redirections, because of elevated music. So what this company did? At end of every call, they inserted an option, press 5 to hear joke of the day. And customers actually started calling on that particular number in order to hear joke of the day. Just by converting one weakness into their major strength, company was able to create a lot of customer engagement. So other example of this could be Amazon. When it was expanding, they were facing certain kind of problems with respect to their logistics management, operations and delivery. So what they did, they converted this weakness into their strength. They started their own delivery network, which helped them to improve their efficiency in their operation management. And they do delivery not only for themselves, but now it's a separate business which they do for other companies also. This is what we are required to cover in this particular module. So resource-based view approach focus on the fact that there are important. For understanding RBV, we need to understand few definitions. First is resource. What is a resource? Resource is any asset, competency, process, skill or knowledge controlled by the corporation. There are different types of resources in an organization. The first category is tangible resources. What are tangible resources? Tangible resources are the one which can be seen, which can be felt, which can be touched. It includes physical resources such as equipment, machinery, raw material, computer, furniture or anything which can be seen, touched or felt. It also includes financial resources, your cash and bank balance. Tangible resources are important source of competitive advantage. Then we have second category, intangible resources. Intangible resources are the one which are difficult to be seen, which cannot be seen, which cannot be touched, but they are felt. Companies nowadays rely more on intangible resources as a source of competitive advantage. But why? Intangible resources are the one which are difficult for others to copy because they cannot be seen, so they are less likely to imitate. Its examples include goodwill, brand, technology, copyright, design, etc. So these resources are the one which are protected by intellectual property rights, as a result of which they are more difficult for others to imitate. So companies prefer to rely on such resources in order to have competitive advantage. Now, third category is human resources. Now, what do you think? Are human resources tangible or intangible? Human being without any skill, knowledge, experience is not a resource. Or having only skills, knowledge without a human being is not possible. So this is something which is a separate category. They are both tangible as well as intangible. So human resources are basically attributes of employees reflected through skills, knowledge, qualities, experience, etc. Human resources nowadays are very important source of competitive advantage. Companies offer various kind of policies in order to attract and retain human capital. It is said that wherever talent goes, creativity, innovation and success will definitely follow. So companies spend a lot in order to retain good talent, as they are important source of competitive advantage. The fourth category of resource is organizational resource. They are the attributes of group of individuals. It basically includes organization culture, system, structure, what a particular organization follow. For example, 3M Corporation is one of the most innovative company in the world. It has a policy of 15% flexi time, according to which all employees in the organization are required to spend 15% of their daily time on doing some innovative project. And that is the result that why the company has come out with so many innovative products. So it's part of their culture. Similarly, Google has the innovative culture wherein 20% of time, daily time, employees are required to spend on doing something innovative. And that is the reason that why it's one of the most innovative and valued company. On the other hand, if we talk about Walmart, its focus is always on cost efficiency. So that is also part of the culture of the organization, where employees at all level always focus on cost saving and passing on that cost saving to customers in form of low prices so that they can save money and live a better life. So that is the importance of a culture, and nowadays many companies rely on their organizational resource as a source of their competitive advantage. Moving forward, next we have capabilities. Capability is the ability to exploit resources. It is something which is more specific to a particular functional area. There are certain firms which are good at their marketing. They have strong marketing capabilities. There are few firms which are good at managing their operations. So they have strong operations management capability. So it is something which is more specific to a particular functional area. So capabilities are company's skills, coordinating its resources and putting them to productive use. As I said, it is the ability to exploit resource. These skills reside in organization rules, routines and procedures. Like marketing capabilities, P&G has very strong marketing capabilities. Nike is famous for its brand management or marketing capabilities. For manufacturing capability, we can say Toyota, which is famous for its lean manufacturing process. So company's ability to exploit the resource is known as capabilities. Having capabilities is not enough. One should always focus on having dynamic capabilities. By dynamic capabilities, we mean that when your capabilities, you can adapt it to changing environmental needs. For example, companies like Nokia, Yahoo, Motorola, Kodak, they were leaders in their industry. But when there was change in taste and preference of customers, these companies were stuck with inertia. They did not change their resources, their capabilities, and as a result of which they failed. So it's very important that your capabilities, your ability to do something, it should be something which is more flexible and adaptable to an uncertain environment. So therefore, we should always focus on having dynamic capabilities in order to survive and succeed for a longer period of time. Then we have core competencies. A core competency is not a single strength or a resource or any capability. It is collection of all these things. Your core competencies are basically those activities which a company perform with efficiency and which help them to have an edge over others. It is basically the USP of a particular company. According to C.K. Prahlad, a core competency is bundle of skills, technologies that enable a company to provide a particular benefit to customers. The concept of core competency was introduced by C.K. Prahlad and Gary Hamel in 1991 in a paper, The Core Competencies of the Corporation, wherein the authors have related the concept of core competency by relating organization to a tree. It's a very unique way in which they have explained the concept of core competency. Say that the major trunk represent the core product of a company, the branches of trees represent the business units, and the leaves, flowers, fruits, they represent the end product of the company, and the root system which provide nourishment to the tree represent the core competency. Just as strength of tree cannot be judged by looking at its leaves or flowers or fruits, you have to invest in the root system in order to ensure survival and long-term strength of that particular tree. Similarly, organization strength cannot be determined just by looking at its end products. Management is required to invest in core competency in order to ensure survival and long-term success of that particular organization. For example, if we talk about Honda, its core competency is in its expertise in designing and manufacturing small, efficient and reliable engine. It is their core competency. If we talk about its core product, it is internal combustion engine technology. So this is the core product. They manufacture engines not only for themselves but also for other companies. So that is their core product. From that core product, there are different business units like automobile division, motorcycle division, power equipment division, marine division, aerospace division. All these are different business units for Honda. Now, from these business units, we have various kind of end products like Honda Civic, Accord, CR-V in automobile division, Honda CBR series, Activa in motorcycle division, engines for lawn motors, snow blowers and portable generators under power equipment division. They also manufacture engines for outboard motors for boats, which is part of their marine division, and also they manufacture aircraft engine and small jets, for example Honda Jet under aerospace division. So these are the end products. You cannot judge the strength of this particular organization just by looking at these end products. You need to invest in its core competency, that is its ability to manufacture at low cost and more efficient engines. So this is how the concept of core competency has been explained by C.K. Prahlad and Gary Hamel. One thing which they mention is that a core competency will always provide certain kind of benefit to customers. For example, if we talk about Sony, its core competency has been in miniaturization of electronic item, and the benefit which they provide to customer is its portability. So whatever Sony has manufactured, they have always focused that it is something which is providing benefit to customer. Federal Express, its core competency has been in logistics management, and the benefit which customer get is online tracking. Walmart's core competency is again its logistics and operations management, and the benefit which customers get is choice availability under one roof and low cost. Honda Corporation, as we discussed, its core competency is fuel efficient engines, and the benefit to customer is cost saving. So core competency will always give certain kind of benefit to the customers. This is the concept of core competency. Again, having core competency is not enough because it can be taken away by your competitor. One should focus on having distinctive competencies. By distinctive competencies we mean that when your core competencies are superior to that of your competitor. For example, Intel is well known for its distinctive core competency in coming out with sophisticated microprocessors one after other at a very high speed. So this is something which has not been imitated by others. On the other hand, if we talk about example of Nirma, once upon a time Nirma was a pioneer in low cost detergent. It was its distinctive competency and core competency. But when HUL and others imitate their technology and they came out with their value for money products, Nirma lost its distinctive competency. Then it was only its core competency. And that is the reason that why they lost their competitive advantage. So it is ultimately your distinctive competency which leads to competitive advantage. Therefore, one should always focus on having distinctive competencies. These are the basic terminologies which one should be clear with. Now, when we know the meaning of resources, capabilities and competencies, let's see what's the relationship between these three terminologies. It is said that a company may have valuable resources, but unless it has capability to use those resources effectively, it may not be able to create distinctive competencies. Which means to create distinctive competencies, we need number 1, valuable resources plus minimum capabilities to exploit those resources. For example, if any company wants to manufacture the French wine, they cannot manufacture the same thing because it cannot be replicated. The France's key resources of land and climate are particularly related to a particular area. They cannot be replicated in anywhere else part of the world. So, such companies have valuable resources, that is the natural resources which they have, and minimum capabilities to exploit those resources, and as a result of which they have distinctive competency. So that is the first thing which is required in order to create distinctive competency. But if you do not have any valuable resource, if you have same resource as that of any other player in that particular industry, how you can create distinctive competency in that particular case? In such scenarios, if you have minimum resources, you need valuable capabilities in order to exploit the resources and in order to create distinctive competencies. For example, steel minimal operator Nucor, which is considered as most cost efficient steel maker in US. This company was profitable for almost 30 years when other steel companies were filing for bankruptcy. Now, how is it possible that the company has been able to produce steel at the lowest cost? It is having same resource as that of any other steel company in the country. Still, it was basically its unique capability which they were using in order to manage those resources. Specifically, Nucor structure, the control system and the culture of the company, which has always promoted efficiency at all levels, was the main reason for its low-cost steel. Nucor's former CEO, Ken Iverson, set an example in this regard. Despite being the CEO of one of the most profitable company, his salary was among the lowest in Fortune 500 CEOs. He used to drive an old car. He was not having any secretary to answer his calls. He used to answer his own phone. He has always focused on minimizing the cost at all the levels, and as a result of which all the employees of the organization, they have always focused on minimizing the cost in whatever way that they can. So that has basically become the part of the culture of the organization. So if you have same resources, it is your capabilities which make you differentiated, and as a result of which you can have distinctive competencies, like in case of Nucor. So I'll repeat again. In order to create distinctive competencies, number 1, a company should have valuable resource and minimum capabilities to create distinctive competency. Secondly, if you have minimum resources, then you need valuable capabilities to exploit the resources, as in case of Nucor, and your distinctive competencies will be maximum when you have valuable resources and valuable capabilities. So this is the relationship between resources, capabilities and competencies. Resources plus capabilities leads to your distinctive competencies. Now, what is the role of strategy in this particular relationship? As we said that it is our resources capabilities which leads to our distinctive competencies. So when you combine your resources and capabilities, you will get your distinctive competencies. Based on your distinctive competencies, you will formulate a strategy Your strategy will help you to get competitive advantage, which will further leads to superior profitability. So repeating again, when you combine your resources and capabilities, you get your distinctive competencies. You use your distinctive competencies to formulate strategy, which will help you to achieve competitive advantage and superior profitability. So based on this, we can say that the relationship between distinctive competencies and strategy is linear, wherein distinctive competencies leads to strategy. I'll explain this with help of one example. Example of Walt Disney. When Walt Disney was facing financial crisis, at that time, Michael Eisner was appointed as the CEO of the company. At that time, Michael Eisner adopted few strategies based on their existing resources and capabilities. What he did, many old Disney classics were re-released. Movies like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, all these movies were re-released. So basically they use their existing resources in order to create their strategy. Similarly, in order to capitalize on their existing resource of their brand name, they diversify into different businesses such as retail merchandise, theme parks, movie studios, and many more. They did it in order to capitalize on their existing resource, which was their brand name. So in this way, the company used its existing resources and capabilities to create strategy in order to have edge over others. But this relationship is not always the linear one. Sometimes it is a reciprocal. Reciprocal means sometimes it is our strategy which helps us to build new resource or strengthen our existing resources and capabilities, which will further enhance our distinctive competencies. Repeating again, that the relationship between distinctive competencies and strategy is not a linear one, it is a reciprocal one. Sometimes our distinctive competencies shape our strategy, and sometimes our strategies helps to build new resources and capabilities or strengthen existing resources and capabilities, which will further enhance our distinctive competency. To continue with the example of Walt Disney, earlier we discussed that how their existing resources and capabilities help the company to frame their strategies to have competitive advantage. Also, company entered into a long-term agreement with computer-generated animated movies company Pixar in order to create a new resource, which was computer animated movies. Repeating again, company entered into a long-term strategy by entering into a long-term agreement with Pixar, which was a computer-generated animated movies, and later on they acquired Pixar and create a new resource, a new division, which was computer animated movies. Similarly, company created a new resource under the Touchstone label for its low cost movies. So here what I am trying to say is that the relationship between distinctive competencies and strategy is not a linear, it's a reciprocal, wherein your strategies also helps to enhance or to build new resources to further enhance distinctive competency. So this is what the example is which I was trying to explain with the help of role of strategy. So in early 80s, when company was facing poor financial years, at that time Michael Eisner was appointed as the CEO, and within 4 years the company's sale increased from 1.6 billion to 3.75 billion, and its net profit also increased. What company did? Company used its resources and capabilities more aggressively. They used their enormous film library, brand name, filmmaking skills. Many old movies were re-released. Company also capitalized on their brand name and diversify its operation. So in this way, they used their existing resources and capabilities to shape their strategies. But the reciprocal relation would mean that through their choice of strategy, they also created new competencies. What were the new competencies? It entered into long-term agreement with Pixar to develop competency in computer-generated animated films. So it was a new resource which was created because of a particular strategy. Similarly, they also created a new low-cost film division under Touchstone label, which is again a new resource. So in this way, their strategies helps in building new resources and capabilities. So, in nutshell, the relationship between distinctive competencies and strategy is not a linear, it is a reciprocal, where there is a two-way relationship between these two variables. Now, once we have identified the resources in a particular organization, we need to assess whether that particular resource will give us sustainable competitive advantage or not. For that, we use a framework which is known as VRIO framework, which was given by Barney. According to this framework, you are required to evaluate all your resources along 4 dimensions. Number 1, valuable. Is your resource valuable? So the question is your resource valuable? Because over a period of time, your resources become less valuable because of change in technology, change in taste and preference of customer, or because of depletion, or because of any other factor, your resources become less valuable. So you need to see that the resource which you have identified, whether it is valuable or not. Is it rare? Or other competitors also possess the same resource? So the second question is wherein you need to see that is it rare, only you have it, or other competitors in the industry also have this resource. Third is about its imitability. So the question becomes, is it difficult for others to imitate? So your valuable and rare resources will give you sustainable competitive advantage until it has been imitated by others. Once others imitate it, a company will lose its competitive advantage. And the last, is your firm organized to exploit the resources? Whether you have adequate structure, culture, policies, procedures in order to exploit that particular resource. So you need to answer these questions in order to know that whether a particular resource will give you sustainable competitive advantage or not. If answer to all the question is no, that resource A is neither valuable nor rare nor imitable and nor you are organized to exploit it, then it is your weakness, because you cannot use that particular thing. If it is valuable and firm is organized to exploit it, then it is your strength, but not a source of competitive advantage, because others also have the same kind of strength. So you cannot use it. It is a must thing, but you cannot use it to have sustainable competitive advantage because others also possess the same thing. If the resource is valuable and it is rare and also you are organized to exploit it, But answer to third question is no. That is it costly for others to imitate? No. It is your strength and distinctive competency. It will be your distinctive competency till the time it has been imitated by others. Once other will imitate it, then it will not be a distinctive competency. It is valuable, it is rare, that is others do not have it. But is it costly for others to imitate? No, it is not costly for others to imitate. That means it can be taken away. Till the time it has not been taken away, then till then it is your distinctive competency. If answer to all the question is yes, that is it is rare, it is valuable, it is difficult for others to imitate, and firm is also organized to exploit it, then it is your strength, your distinctive competency, and it will give you sustainable competitive advantage. So for a company, whenever you are doing VRIO framework, you need to list down all your resources. You need to see that whether that particular resource is a strength or weakness by evaluating the resources along 4 dimensions, that is V, R, I, O. If answer to all the questions is yes, that resource will give you sustainable competitive advantage. Now let's do it practically. This is the case of Zomato. Now, once we are going to read this case in order to identify that what are the resources this company possess, whether it's their strength or weakness using VRIO framework, and whether that resource will give sustainable competitive advantage or not. That is what we are going to discuss. Zomato has grown from a simple restaurant discovery website to one of India's leading food delivery and dining tech platforms. Over the years, it has built a strong presence across Indian cities through extensive network of restaurant partners and delivery personnel. So I am underlining all the resources which this particular company possesses. Its mobile app, which is known for its interface and real-time updates, has become a daily utility for millions. The company uses advanced data analytics to personalize recommendation, optimize delivery routes, and offer dynamic pricing and discounts to users. The company has also made several strategic acquisitions, including Uber Eats India, and has invested in adjacent spaces like grocery delivery through Blinkit. These moves reflect its ability to anticipate and respond to evolving market trends. The firm continues to attract top-tier investors and benefit from a leadership team with bold strategic vision and deep understanding of India's digital consumer ecosystem. Company's marketing campaigns have built strong brand recognition, especially among urban youth, helping it maintain user loyalty in highly competitive market. Additionally, Zomato offers value-added services to its restaurant partners such as analytics, advertisement, and logistics support, which has helped it to create a comprehensive and sticky partner ecosystem. It also operates Cloud Kitchen in collaboration with food brands, enabling faster service and cost efficiency. With access to rich consumer behavior data, strong tech capabilities, and wide delivery footprint, Zomato continues to experiment and expand in a market shaped by convenience, speed, and personalization. So here in this particular case, I have underlined all the resources and capabilities which this particular company possesses. Now let's do VRIO for this particular statements. So we have listed all the resources and capabilities on one side, that is strong brand recognition, customer loyalty, advanced data analytics, cloud kitchen, and so on. Now let's see one by one that whether it is VRIO, whether it is yes or no. So if we talk about strong brand recognition and customer loyalty, it is valuable. It is not rare because others can also have it. So we can say partially. Is it costly for others to imitate? No, it is not costly for others to imitate. But yes, firm is organized to use it. So we can say that it is a strength, but it will give you temporary competitive advantage. Talking about second, that is advanced data analytics and personalized algorithm, valuable, rare, difficult for others to imitate, and also firm is organized. So this is a resource which is going to give permanent or sustainable competitive advantage. Their cloud kitchen partnership and their value added services, again it is valuable, it is rare, it is difficult for others to imitate, so we can write partially organized. So right now it is giving us temporary competitive advantage. Wide delivery footprint and logistics, valuable, but others also have it. So it is again giving you temporary competitive advantage as it is your strength. Their acquisitions and visionary leadership, valuable. As of now it is rare, but it can be taken away. So again it is going to give you temporary competitive advantage. Mobile app, others also have it, so it is not rare. Their rich consumer data and real-time feedback system is what is rare and difficult for others to imitate. So this is the major resource which helps them to give permanent competitive advantage. And similarly, if we talk about their human resources, it is valuable, it is rare, it is difficult to replicate the leadership. You cannot take away the bold leadership or the vision from a person, and also the firm is using it. So it is also giving them permanent competitive advantage. So this is the way we use VRIO framework in order to identify that which are the resources which gives you temporary competitive advantage or which are the resources which gives you permanent competitive advantage, so that you can take your decision accordingly and you can decide that whether you should invest in a particular resource or not. So looking at the example of Zomato, companies should invest in their human capital and the data analytics or the integrative ecosystem which they have, which are providing them permanent competitive advantage. So they should keep on investing in order to be ahead than their competitor in these particular areas. Now we will just summarize the resource-based view approach in 5 steps. First step, you are required to identify and classify your resources in order to see that which resources are your strengths and which resources are your weaknesses. Then you are required to combine your firm's strength with capabilities to create distinctive competencies. Then you are required to appraise the profit generating potential of these resources using VRIO framework to see that whether they will give you sustainable competitive advantage or temporary competitive advantage. So this is what we have discussed till now under resource-based view approach. Then you are required to select a strategy in order to match your internal capabilities in relation to external opportunities. So from the last module which we got our opportunities and threats, and from resource-based view we have got our strengths and weaknesses. We are required to match our internal factors with external factors to formulate a strategy. Internal include your strengths and weaknesses, external include your opportunities and threats. And lastly, you are required to identify resource gaps so that you can invest in upgrading your weaknesses. So this is what is resource-based view, which is used for doing internal environmental analysis. Next component under internal environmental analysis is value chain analysis. Value chain analysis is based on the premise that customers always want some kind of value from the product he or she purchases. What kind of products customers are going to get value? When the product is unique, it has to be differentiated in any manner. There has to be some kind of uniqueness in terms of design, in terms of innovation, in terms of price, in terms of customization. That uniqueness is something which customers should be able to value, and they should be able to pay premium price for that particular thing. Then the product is unique and customer will get value from it. Secondly, when it is low price, if the price is lower in comparison to others, customers feel that they have got more value in comparison to others. So they feel value for that particular product or service. When customers feel that the company is able to respond to distinctive customer needs, they feel certain kind of value from the product or service he or she purchases. What exactly is a value chain? A value chain is a linked set of value creating activities that start with procuring raw material, then manufacturing, moving to distributor, retailer and ultimately consumer. But all these activities are also there in a supply chain. Then what is the difference between a supply chain and a value chain? These two terms are often used interchangeably, but technically there is one difference. Let's take a product apple. If an apple passes from farmers to wholesalers to retailers to consumers as it is without any change, then it is known as supply chain. But when you add grading, sorting, packaging to it, it becomes your value chain. So what I am trying to say is that a supply chain includes same steps as that of a value chain, but in supply chain there is no as such value addition. And as the name suggests, value chain, at every step there will be certain addition which will be made to that particular product. And that addition will be transferred to customers from which they get certain kind of value. And that is why we use the term value chain, though they are used interchangeably. Now, in value chain analysis, we are going to cover two types of value chain analysis: industry and company. Industry value chain analysis, you are required to examine your company in relationship to the entire value chain of that particular industry, of which your firm is a small part. You might be into manufacturing or procuring raw material or marketing or distribution or retailing. So you will be at a particular stage of the value chain of that particular industry. You have to evaluate yourself in relation to the entire value chain of that industry to decide that whether your industry is adding value or not. Value chain of industry can be split into two segments, upstream and downstream. Upstream means you are going towards your source of raw material or supplier. This is also known as backward vertical integration, where we are moving towards the source of raw material. Downstream refers to going towards your customers. So if you are into manufacturing, going towards procuring of your own raw material or manufacturing your own raw material is part of backward vertical integration, that is upstream activity in your value chain. But from manufacturing, if you are going into distribution or retailing, that is forward vertical integration, moving towards your customer. That is part of your downstream value chain analysis. Repeating again, a value chain of industry can be split in two segments, upstream and downstream. So, for example, in petroleum industry, your upstream refers to oil exploration, drilling and moving of crude oil to the refinery. Downstream will refers to refining the oil and transporting gasoline and refined oil to distributors and gas station retailers. Every firm has its center of gravity. Center of gravity is the area where their core competencies lie. They are basically those activities which company perform with efficiency and in a better way in comparison to their competitors. So you need to identify that which is the center of gravity for a particular firm. It's important that a company should establish itself at its center of gravity first, and then they should move forward or backward in the value chain in order to achieve other advantages such as low cost or guarantee access to raw material or guarantee access to distributor. These are certain benefits which companies usually wants to take by going for vertical integration, that is either backward or forward in their value chain. But it is important that first you should know that what is your center of gravity, where your core competencies lies, what is your USP, establish yourself on that particular USP, and then move forward or backward in your value chain in order to take other advantages. As mentioned here, example in paper industry, Weyerhaeuser's center of gravity was in lumbering and pulp mills where the company started. First, the company established itself at this point and then they integrated forward by using it wood pulp to make paper. That is, they went for downstream in their value chain by going for forward vertical integration, by taking a step in order to move towards the customer. On the other hand, P&G, which is a consumer products company as we all know, once upon a time it was having its own timberland and pulp mills. However, company's strongest capabilities, its center of gravity has always been in downstream activities. So what the company did? They sold their land and mills in order to focus more on their core competencies. This is what is the purpose of doing industry value chain analysis. To recapitulate, industry value chain analysis involves evaluating your company along the entire value chain of which your firm is a small part. Need to identify what is your center of gravity, what is your USP, what is your core competency. Try to establish yourself at that particular point. Once you are established, then decide that whether you want to integrate backward or forward. Industry value chain analysis helps us to identify that which activities are the one which provide more values to the customers so that you can retain it, and those activities which are not providing more value to customers, they are the one which can be outsourced. It's help us to know that what things should be done in-house and what are the things which can be outsourced. Then moving to corporate value chain analysis, which was given by Michael Porter in 1985. Corporate value chain analysis is based on the fact that there are two types of activities in a particular company: primary activities and support activities. Primary activities are the one which are directly associated with production or delivering of goods and services. However, support activities, which are also known as secondary activities, they are not directly related with the production or distribution. They are the one which assist or support primary activities. For example, if we talk about primary activities, we have inbound logistics. All the activities associated with getting raw material from supplier to the manufacturing plant is part of inbound logistics. Raw material handling, warehousing, storage, transportation, they are part of inbound logistics. Then we have operations, which is concerned with manufacturing, assembling, testing, that is part of your operations. Third type of primary activity is outbound logistics. How we are taking that final product from the company to the customer. The transportation, storage, warehousing, distribution, retailing, all these are part of outbound logistics. Fourth is marketing and sales. It is an information activity. The main purpose of this activity is to provide information to customers about the product or service. It is very important because it helps to create position in minds of the customers for that particular product or service. So advertising, promotion, pricing, channel relations, all these are part of marketing and sales, which are directly associated with production or delivering of goods and services. And last is your services, the after sale services, installation, repair, parts, guarantee, warranty. All these are part of after sale services, which are again part of primary activities. Then what comes under support activities? As I said, support activities are the one which are not directly related to production or distribution, but they assist our primary activity. Like we have procurement. What is procurement? How we are ordering our raw material, the entire process in knowing what we want to know, inviting bids or tenders or quotations, giving the order, negotiations, all those activities which basically support our inbound logistics is part of procurement. Many times we get confused that procurement is same as inbound logistics, but there is a difference. Procurement assists inbound logistics. The area where procurement ends, our inbound logistics starts. Procurement is concerned with that how we want to order. What are the steps we are required to follow for procuring a raw material? Once we have done with the ordering part, then our inbound logistics start, that how we are going to get those raw material from supplier to the place where manufacturing has to be done. So procurement assists our inbound logistics. Other type of support activities are technology development, which basically assist our operations, also our outbound marketing services. Nowadays technology is used everywhere. So technology assists all primary activities. Earlier it was more related with only operations part, but now technology is involved everywhere, so it assists all primary activities. Human resource management, again human resource management will assist all 5 activities. Without employees nothing can be done, so it assists all 5 primary activities. And last is firm infrastructure, which includes your general management, accounting, finance, CRM, all the departments which are there in the organization. They are part of firm infrastructure, which again assist all primary activities. So, what are the steps we are required to follow when we are doing corporate value chain analysis? You are required to examine each product line value chain in order to identify what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. Those activities where you provide more value at less cost are your strengths, and those activities where you provide less value at more cost are your weaknesses. You need to identify all the activities, you need to bifurcate into your strengths or weakness. Second step, you are required to examine the linkage within each product line's value chain. Linkages are basically the connections, that how one activity is related to each other. For example, if I am into 2 products, garments and footwears, both products have their own business lines, on value chain, on product line. But there could be a point of commonality, that connection which we have to see, and that could be maybe raw material or distribution. You can sell both products at same outlet, so that will be the point of commonality in the value chain of 2 products. You need to identify that what are those point of commonality, and then you are required to examine the synergy so that you can achieve economies of scope. So as I said, I am into 2 products, garments and footwears. So I can sell both the products at same outlet. If I will be doing it separately, my overall cost of production would be higher. But if I am sharing certain costs, my overall cost of production will go down. That is what is known as economies of scope. Economies of scope means your joint cost of production will be less than cost of individual production. So if we are able to identify the linkage, through synergy effect, we will be able to reduce our overall cost, and that is another purpose of you doing value chain analysis. So to repeat again, what we are saying is that value chain analysis helps us to identify our strengths and weaknesses so that you can decide which activities you should outsource and which activities you should insource. So with this, we have concluded our module of internal environmental analysis, wherein we have covered 2 approaches of doing internal environmental scanning. That is resource-based view approach, wherein we evaluate our resources along VRIO framework and decide about our strengths and weaknesses. And secondly, value chain analysis, wherein we evaluate all the activities within the organization to identify our strengths and weaknesses. Thank you everyone.